Hello and welcome to Scran, the podcast passionate about the Scottish food and drink scene. I'm your host, Rosalind, and welcome to the second part of our Christmas specials for 2025. On this episode, we're delving into Christmas even more and bringing you hints, tips, novel stories and things to think about. First up, I went to a Christmas Canapes class with Eat by Ailsa, which took place in Leith. You'll hear some audio from the class and an interview I did with Ailsa McGuinness the following morning. She tells me about how the business came about, what you can expect from one of her classes, and her hopes and plans for the future. Most importantly, she has tips for prepping Christmas canapes that could save you a lot of time and hassle.
I would say your freezer is your best friend. You can do so much prep right now and just freeze things. You'd be amazed at the things that you can freeze in advance.
I also went along to Copper Blossom in Edinburgh to hear about a rather surprising incident which has captured the public's imagination. Manager Paul Paxton fills me in on how they've managed to turn a crisis into a cause for good.
Fast forward 2 days and I've got cousins in South Africa that have seen it. It's in the New Zealand Herald, it's all over the UK, and yeah, it's just gone crazy.
Finally, I chatted to Joseph Youssef from Kitchen Theory, a multi-sensory gastronomy design studio known for creating experimental and immersive food and drink experiences. Joseph tells me all about the Science of Christmas, their latest event, which is a unique sensory-led experience that explores the science behind festive flavours, traditions and emotions.
Using the sounds of cold air through seeing snow being projected onto the table, can that make you feel a little bit colder?
Here's my first stop on this episode, learning to make Christmas canapes with Eat with Ailsa.
It looks like everyone has got an apron on, they've got their station, we're all happy, in which case I'll invite you to all come and gather around me. So the first dish that we're going to be making this evening is bougères, which is a fancy French name for a little cheese puff. You will find when you go back to your station, you have got a little saucepan that has got some butter in it, and there's a cup of water next to it. All I have done so far, just to get the process going, because it's not very interesting to watch, is I have thrown my water in with the butter and I've got it on heat 6. Now, you'll notice I have got a bowl and a sieve with some ingredients here. I'll confess, I am more of a cook than a baker. So most of the time when it comes to baking recipes, I don't bother with the sieve. With this one, I would, because the whole point is them being light and airy, you don't actually want any clumps in them at all, I would actually go to the bother of sieving with this one.
I'm now joined by Ailsa McGuinness from Eat with Ailsa. Hi Ailsa, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. I was at your lovely Christmas Canapes class last night, which we're going to talk a little bit about and obviously give some ideas for people who are cooking this Christmas. Do you want to, just before we get into the festivities, just tell us a little bit about your business and how it came to be?
Yeah, of course. So at the moment, I run the business by myself. It's Eat with Ailsa, and it all came about during COVID, in lockdown, so pre-pandemic. I was working for a travel company, and that's kind of where my interest in food from all around the world came from, is because I was working with partners across the world. And obviously, when the pandemic happened, travel was not the best industry to be in, unfortunately. So I was put on furlough for quite a period of time, which was quite fortunate, really, looking back. And during that time, we actually moved in with my partner's parents in Ireland. So I kind of found myself all within a week, we'd moved to Ireland. I was on furlough. I suddenly had way more free time than I knew what to do with. And I was in an unfamiliar environment, didn't really know what I was doing. But there were lots of hungry mouths to feed. And I'd always enjoyed cooking, but it's not something I'd ever had the time to sort of explore in any big way. So that's exactly what I did. I just suddenly became obsessed with cooking and food. I was buying recipe books and reading them like they were novels. Every day was like a fresh sort of blank slate to try completely new dishes. And because there were lots of hungry mouths to feed, you got that blank slate every day that you could sort of experiment with. Then when I was eventually made redundant from that position in the travel industry, I didn't know, again, what am I going to do with myself? And then I decided I'll do online cooking classes. And that was amazing. It was such a really lovely way to connect with people throughout such a horrible time when everyone felt so isolated. It was a really lovely way to feel like you were bringing people together. It really kept me going in that time. I absolutely loved it. But obviously, once the world opened back up again, that was amazing in so many ways, but not for business. So it kind of took a bit of a sideline for quite a while. And then we moved to Bristol, and by complete coincidence, at the top of the road that we were staying on was a cookery school. So I got myself a wee job in the cookery school, teaching part-time there, doing classes there, and very quickly found that it's actually a lot easier to teach people how to cook in person than it is online. So when I moved back to Edinburgh last year, I thought, right, this is it. I'm gonna start setting up my own classes in person, and that's exactly what I've done, and that's where we are now.
And so last night, one of the things, I'm assuming you do this in every class, we all sat down and we'd bring your own bottles, we're having a drink, there was some mulled wine, and we all introduced ourselves and talked about a dish that reminded us of home or that we were enjoying cooking. How important is it to kind of get that social aspect at the start with people? Because, you come with a friend and you wouldn't necessarily maybe chat to the other people. Yeah,
very important for me. So I don't like anything that's sort of too forced and awkward, but that's why I acknowledge at the start that we are going to do an icebreaker. I do know that everyone hates these. Sometimes you can literally just feel the ice thawing off of people. And you'll always find every single time I do that, people from opposing sort of sides of the table that wouldn't have spoken otherwise, they'll find something in common. And then that kind of frees people up throughout the class to go and speak to someone else from another pair. It's never going to be forced. If you want to come as a couple and stay as a couple throughout the class, that is absolutely fine. But 99 times out of 100, people will find themselves mingling in a natural way because of that. And it's just a really lovely thing to see. And it's one of my favourite aspects about the class is how social it always ends up becoming.
Yeah, no, it was great. And do you find, like, in general, there's a good mix of, like, people from Edinburgh, maybe tourists, visitors, someone trying it for the first time because they're in Edinburgh?
Yeah, massively. It's such a great environment, I think, for lots of different people, because I do encourage people, if you've never cooked before, you're going to be shown absolutely everything. You will be working in a pair. Or if you're a really confident cook, the chances are you'll have picked a cuisine you've maybe not dabbled in before and you will learn something new. So it's kind of suitable for all types of cooks. Yeah, I get a real mix in terms of age, background, everything. And yeah, like I said, even though it can seem on paper, these people are completely different. Generally, when you do that little icebreaker at the start, you'll find someone's got something in common.
No, it was good. And obviously, like, the wine helps as well. What other classes do you do?
So I do lots of different types of cuisines. I do sort of gravitate towards more Asian cuisines. That just seems to be what my personal taste is. So things like Korean kitchen is very popular, Sichuan street food, Vietnamese, Japanese, all of those ones. I also do a Spanish tapas class though, and also something that I've not really explored too much, but was a massive passion. And what a lot of my online classes were Middle Eastern type ones. So I've just got a new Lebanese one that's gone on sale. That's been very popular as well. So yeah, there'll be more of that to come next year too.
Well, and so how do you go about choosing? Because last night, all of it was really delicious, but it was really easy. And I know we were doing Christmas Canapes, so it kind of needs to be easy at this time of year. How do you go about picking the 3 or however many things that you make? And can it get quite complicated?
Yeah. I mean, canapes, it was always going to be a more light-hearted class, because I think that's what people just want to de-stress around Christmas. They don't want to be doing anything totally, like, completely complicated and new. But I try and explore maybe some different techniques in other classes, maybe things that people haven't tried at home before. I'm a home cook. I'm not professionally trained in any way. So I'm kind of going into each one thinking, okay, every class needs to be suitable for a home kitchen. I'm not going to use any equipment that people aren't likely to have in their kitchen. I always want it to be accessible recipes that you are going to make. Sometimes with cooking classes, it's really fun to go and try something that you would never do and that you're not going to repeat. But then you do come away from the experience thinking, well, I'm never going to make that again. That was far too complicated. So I always want to make it sort of achievable and repeatable.
So last night we did, no one can pronounce the cheese one, by the way, so you're going to have to help me.
God, I don't know if I can. It's gougères. It's like a little French cheese puff, if we will, but I think it's gougères. Some French person will pull me up on that.
So yeah, gougères. That was choux pastry, wasn't it? So we kind of made a choux pastry, added cheese and put them in the oven, and they tasted like, I mean, like, you'd spent a lot of time and effort, and it was really easy. So I was really surprised by that. We made smoked mackerel crostini and brie and cranberry puff pastry twists. Does it change every year? If we came back next year, what would we be looking at for canapes?
That's a very good question. I did the same class last year, I'll confess, so it didn't change at all this year. I've been very busy, so I thought that went down great last year. We'll do it again. But who knows, by next year it could be a completely different menu. It does just kind of, I'll get fed up and go, I'm going to completely change it. So it'll depend on that. But yeah, they were all recipes of things that I'll have done for parties and things in the past. So yeah, that's kind of where that came from.
And how important is it for you to work with any kind of local suppliers or Scottish suppliers, or is it just more about like the flavour and things?
Yeah, so it'll depend on the class. So for a lot of them, like when it does come to international cuisines, obviously it's quite hard to find a local supplier for some of those, but I do try and use all of the sort of the Asian shops that are on Leith Walk. I'll buy all my ingredients from there, just a way of supporting those smaller businesses and things. With the Scottish class that I'm doing, it's smoked haddock from Welsh fishmongers out on the shore and stuff as well. But again, I want to show people that you can just take the basic ingredients that you get from Asda, Tesco, Sainsbury's. You can take those basic ingredients as a home cook and make them taste amazing. Sometimes it's kind of like you can graduate it, and if you want to level up, you can then go for your super amazing high quality ingredients. But even just showing people what can be done with basic ingredients, I think is a really important skill as well.
Quite a lot of people I spoke to after had said the shop bought stuff we would buy is easy, but you don't really know what's in it. Whereas with these things, you know what you're putting in. There's, like if you don't want a certain oil or a certain thing, you're in control. So are you finding that more people are coming because they're wanting to be sort of away from ultra processed things?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is a really sort of important thing to think about when you're cooking as well. And I never want to judge people. Whenever people are like, can I use instant rice if I don't want to do that? And it's like, if it makes your life easier and you're doing the rest of it from scratch and then you know what's going into there, like it's absolutely fine to compromise and just don't feel like everything has to be made from scratch. No one's judging you for that. If you're sort of making the majority of your dish and you know what's going into the majority of it, then, I'm all for a shortcut every now and again if it's just going to make it more feasible.
So I've got 70 grams of creme fraiche in there. With the chives, I'm going to leave a handful of chives because we're going to use them for sort of garnishing it at the end. We'll chop it into longer bits to do cubo pieces. But with these ones, we're just going to finely chop them. And they're going to go through for the actual flavour. And again, this is one that can be done well in advance. You can make your mackerel pate a few days before and it can sit in the fridge. You can make your crostinis and then keep them like they were biscuits, like in an airtight Tupperware, and they'll be good to go as well. Final thing for this is a squeeze of lemon.
Just tell us a bit about where you're based and the sort of charitable element of that.
So I'm very fortunate in that I'm able to rent the Cyrenians Community Kitchen from them. So all the classes take place in Leith. So it's the Cyrenians Kitchen in Leith, and the Cyrenians are an amazing charity. They do so much work for people across Scotland who are homeless or underprivileged. Whenever someone comes to a class, they can sort of feel good about themselves for supporting a charity. Obviously, all the rental money goes towards them. I also donate 10% of profits from the individual classes back to them to say a big thank you as well. Going forwards into next year, I am actually looking at finding my own premises though, so that will still be in Leith. That's something I'm in the process of doing just now, but I'm very keen to sort of maintain the relationship that I have with the Cyrenians going forwards as well.
When it comes to 2026, what classes have you got planned? What's your availability? Are you seeing quite a good uptake in bookings already?
I'm answering constant emails at the moment saying, when are there going to be more classes available to book, which is an amazing position to be in. I'm so lucky that there's such a big interest and uptake in the classes. So I am going to be putting more classes on sale in January for anyone who's interested. Definitely check back on the website. 2026 really is going to be the year of growing and expanding. The name will be changing as well. At the moment it is Eat with Ailsa, but it can't just be me forever. There is so much demand for these classes that I'll be looking to take on another instructor soon as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's so nice to see that it's so popular. Do you have any tips for anyone who's entertaining over the festive period just to sort of help with, any stress or timings and things?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say your freezer is your best friend. You can do so much prep right now and just freeze things. You'd be amazed at the things that you can freeze in advance. So a good example of that would be the gougères that we made last night, the little cheese puffs. You can make them down to having piped them out on a tray and freeze them, and then on Christmas Day whack them in the oven, and you've got something that you have made yourself. It's got that personal touch. You know exactly what's in it, but you didn't have to do anything on Christmas except throw it in the oven. So I would say make as much as you can in advance, but also lower your own standards. So one of our Christmas traditions that we do on Christmas Christmas Eve is we get a Chinese takeaway. So that is amazing because no one is cooking on Christmas Eve. You've got that time to all relax as a family. We used to eat the leftovers for breakfast, but we've graduated out of that. So Chinese takeaway as a start to Christmas Day was a bit much.
I mean, all the canapes were brilliant, but I can vouch for those cheese gougers. They were brilliant. And I'm actually quite sad we ate them all while cooking. I wish I still had some now.
Well, they're easy to make. You can make them again.
Exactly, yeah. When it comes to Christmas, what are you up to? Are you working, or are you going to be making more of the canapes?
Oh, I'll definitely be making more canapes. I don't think I'd get the option not to. I'm going to be going up to Aberdeen and spending it with my parents and my sister, her husband and her 2 kids. So I just think it's such a lovely thing now that I've got a niece and a nephew that get to be spoilt around Christmas. So yeah, I'll be cooking the Christmas dinner.
So a bit of a busman's holiday then.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much exactly what it is. Not technically working, but we'll not be resting too much.
For anyone who wants to get in touch with you, see your classes, make a booking, what's the best way to do that?
So the best way would be to find me directly through my website. So it is just www.eatwithailsa.com. I'm also on all the socials on @eatwithailsa as well. So Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. You'll find me on there.
Well, thank you very much, and good luck with next year, and I hope you have a lovely Christmas.
Thank you. You too. It's lovely to meet you.
You too. So, Afi, how has your night been?
Pleasantly surprised. I wasn't in the festive mood before, but I'm definitely in the festive mood now. I hosted a dinner party at the weekend and I just wish that I'd come here a bit sooner so that I could have made all of this for my friends. But no, really, really good.
Is this giving you good ideas?
I feel like I'm a really good cook, but I'm very stuck in my ways, but this has given me fresh ideas on new things to do. And I feel like with Christmas Canapes, I would have thought that they would have to be quite fiddly, quite complicated, quite difficult. But I mean, we've learned 3 tonight and they've been so easy within minutes.
My name's Lana.
How did you find tonight?
I found it really good actually. I think it's easy and accessible enough for anybody to be able to make the dishes, but it was still sort of complex enough to feel impressive for Christmas, which I think was really, really worth the money, and I think the camaraderie of the group has really sort of elevated it as well.
Will you be making these at Christmas time?
I will definitely be recreating this dip. So we made the pistachio and feta dip as a vegetarian sort of alternative to the mackerel pate, and the brie and the cranberry twist could definitely be like a Boxing Day breakfast.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, very yummy. So really enjoyed it.
I see the Tupperware as well. That's a good side. Yeah. We all remember to bring Tupperware.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next stop on this Christmas special is Copper Blossom on George Street in Edinburgh. Hi Paul, thanks for having us here at Copper Blossom. It's looking extremely festive. Can you just tell us how the festive season's going?
So far so good. It's been nice and busy. Kicked off slightly earlier, I would say, than last year. It kind of boomed a few days early, which was really nice. And then for us, being on George Street, having all the ice rink and the Polar Ice Bar right on our doorstep, it's been really, really good, really fruitful, and so far so good.
You have had an eventful week or so.
Yes, to say the least. Yes, we have. Last Monday, we were obviously just open for regular service, and just as we put our furniture away, one of our big nutcrackers that's at the front of the venue was stolen by some chap on a bicycle. And the following day, it just kind of... We sent it to the press not knowing how much reach it would really get, to be honest, and then fast forward 2 days and I've got cousins in South Africa that have seen it. It's in the New Zealand Herald, it's all over the UK, and it's just gone crazy, I think. And all the customers that now come in are just asking have you found him yet? And it's, no.
Has anyone been in touch about a ransom?
Unfortunately not. We did get in touch from a guy who has a Christmas decoration company offering to donate one, which I thought was a really nice sort of good news story to throw in the middle of all of that,
But you've taken the misfortune and you've turned it into something delicious. Can you tell us about the cocktail that's sitting in front of us?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is our, we call it Nicking Nolan. It's part of the name came from the fact it's served in a Nick and Nora glass. So we just thought, funny little wordplay. And we work quite a lot with Bamboo, so they're sponsoring our Hogmanay event. So we decided to work with them for this as well. So you've got Bamboo rum, you've got some Frangelico, which is a sort of nutty liqueur, some Tonka liqueur from our friends over at Lucky, and a couple of different acids, bit of chocolate, bit of walnut, and then on top you've got a really sort of nice vanilla foam. So it's a desserty sipping kind of cocktail, and yeah, that's what we came up with.
Well, sounds right up my street. I love Frangelico. So, and you're donating some of the proceeds to Cash for Kids, is that right?
Yeah, so we've priced the cocktail at £10 and £5 per sale will be donated to Cash for Kids, and we're looking to make the donation on the 22nd of December.
So everyone needs to get in and get the Nick and Nolans sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we've been batching a load of it, so we're all prepped, ready to go. So people are loving it so far as well, which is great. So.
Okay, so I'm going to give it a try. It looks lovely. It's a kind of goldeny colour with the foam on top, so it kind of looks a bit like a beer in a little glass. Oh, you can really taste the Frangelico, that's lovely. It's kind of strong, but not too strong. It's sweet, but not too sweet. And it's really, really hazelnutty.
The rum is very sort of banana, caramelly, and then you got some vanilla kind of cutting through that as well. So yeah, it's not supposed to be uber strong. It's that kind of mid ABV, but it's just a nice sort of sweet sipper, we call it. So yeah.
And at this time of year, people up for kind of festive cocktails, do you change your menu quite a lot to associate the season?
Yeah, so we actually chose this year not to physically change the menu, but to add a little pop-up menu, which we've called our Hot Girl's Guide to Christmas Cocktails. So there's 6 drinks on there, and they are absolutely flying out. A couple of them have Baileys in them, so the Baileys ones are extremely popular. People love the Christmassy cocktails, the festive cocktails that we do. So people are always game for some festive drinks, you know.
So are you open all the way up to Christmas?
Yeah, so we're open all the way up to Christmas. We close slightly early on Christmas Eve, so it's an 8 p.m. close on Christmas Eve, and then we are closed Christmas Day and then back open Boxing Day.
What are you getting up to this Christmas?
Normally I would go visit Mum and Dad. They're all the way up in Huntly. This year not doing that, so my other half from Aberdeen is coming down, so we're going to have a little cosy Christmas similar to last year, but we still need to do our ritual of watching Elf, watching Love Actually, stuffing our face, and you know, the usual business. And we've gone for chicken this year. We did duck last year, it was pretty good, so gone for chicken, but we have a movie ritual that we need to follow, and yeah, so we'll be doing that, which will be lovely.
And what about homemade cocktails? Do you take a busman's holiday?
No, I'm very low maintenance. It's we'll get a bottle of champagne, we'll keep it nice and chill, a few beers, big gin drinkers, so we normally, it's BYOG, so bring your own gin, and then we just have a gin and tonic day, which is good fun, so yeah.
And when we get into January, will you guys be able to take a bit of a break, or do you just straight back into it?
No, we're straight back into the planning. So we're relaunching in January with a foodie offer as part of Crave, which is our loyalty program within the company. So we're opening doors with 50% off your foods, and it's 40, 30, 20, 10 as the months progress from the second week of January. So we're straight into that, which is nice and busy. But then we're also planning for things like the Six Nations, the Girls Six Nations. We've got summer to plan for, and we're also looking to launch our new cocktail menu towards the end of January as well. So it's straight out of one busy season in terms of serving guests, and then into maybe a quieter season of serving guests, but more on from the planning side as a business as a whole. So yeah, it doesn't stop.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope you have a restful Christmas.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have you ever wondered just why food and drink are so important to us in creating a festive atmosphere? Well, make sure and listen on, as this is exactly what Chef Joseph Youssef talks to me about alongside his latest sensory-led experience, The Science of Christmas. I started by asking him to tell me more about the event.
It is all about the science of the psychology and the sensory relationship that we as human beings have with food, and kind of exploring what that's about. Other than, I guess, some of the kind of traditional elements of what we consider Christmas, how can we break this down into looking at everything from nostalgia and culture and showmanship and some of these other kind of elements that make up Christmas and break these down and see how we can explore it through a dining experience.
So how did it all come about? Because, obviously, like you say, food and smells and things are quite evocative, but nothing more so than Christmas. So what was it that got you kind of involved and started in this?
Well, for over a decade, my team at Kitchen Theory and I have worked with Professor Charles Spence at Oxford University. He's a head of the cross-modal lab, an experimental psychologist. And so over many, many years, we've worked on developing all sorts of multisensory and immersive food experiences. And we've always talked about doing something around Christmas because I guess like many different festivities and celebrations around the world, food is such a central part of what Christmas is all about. And, Christmas lunch or dinner or however you have your tradition is such a kind of focal point of Christmas that it's about time that we explored what that really means to people.
And can you tell us a little bit about the sort of science behind it? How does it all work?
On one of our first courses, it really starts by looking at one of the senses or that's maybe beyond what people ever really recognize as a sense, which is thermoreception. So our perception of temperature in the UK, at least, when it comes to Christmas, we expect it to feel cold. There's something about that kind of Christmassy feeling in the air. So one of the courses that we have on the menu focuses on exactly that, which is how can we, through using the sounds of cold air, through seeing snow being projected onto the table, can that make you feel a little bit colder? We've got little blankets for our guests in case they get the chills at the table, and then they get a nice warm chestnut mug of soup to warm them up. But that's one of the elements that we kind of explore. Then others include things like culture. What does Christmas culturally mean to us? What are the things that we really relate to? And that could be in terms of smells and flavors and tastes. We have one course, which is the flavors of Christmas, that has, I believe, somewhere about 20 flavors on there that are all typically associated with Christmas dinner and Christmas flavors. And that could be, ranging from cranberry to rosemary to sage and other kind of very hallmark flavors that we anchor to, I guess, the positive nostalgia with Christmas.
When you're developing these things, is there anything that kind of surprises you? Is there any sort of surprising elements that come out that you weren't really expecting?
What's most, I guess, fascinating is people's reactions at the dining table to these things. So just think about how you can build anticipation, which is another kind of emotional element that we explore because, Christmas is all about anticipation of, when you're young, presents and Santa coming, anticipation of Christmas holidays as an adult, and when you're older. It's most interesting to see people's reactions at the table in terms of creating those feelings of anticipation for them, in terms of getting people to feel chilly or cold in some way, getting people to feel nostalgic and get in that festive spirit. So that's the thing that I guess is the most interesting to see.
Are people more interested in kind of these experiential things, and how popular has the Christmas one been? Anything
that has Christmas festivities and excitement around it tends to be popular with people. So no, I think there's in general been a trend over the last 10, 15 years towards people wanting to, rather than just celebrate Christmas through going out and having a meal or, exchanging gifts. I think a big part of it has been having experiences together around that time of year and coming together with friends, family, to enjoy it around experiences that are memorable, that are evocative or engaging in some way, and that essentially people get to save as fond memories of theirs.
How important are the drinks with this, and how do you guys go about sort of pairing that?
With all menus, we want to start our guests off with either a bit of bubbly or some mulled wine, which we obviously present in our own kind of stylistic kind of fashion. But then it goes on to really a quite delicious selection of white and red wines that have been paired quite specifically to meet with the flavors, because they have 6 courses over the whole journey. The flavors of the drinks also have to not only pair with the dish, but also have, take part in that narrative and story building as well, which is also, a really important part of, I think, taking people on any kind of an experiential journey.
If it's all your five senses, are you touching anything? Like how is that kind of brought in? Because, are you picking food up with your hands, or is anything like that happening?
Yeah, so we start our guests off by coming through into our studio. They watch a little documentary that kind of gives them a bit of a primer about what this, multi-sensory dining is all about, and a little bit of an understanding of the research that we do with Professor Spence. Then they go into our small sensory gallery. We see if they can guess different aromas, which are all kind of festive related. So, can you identify cinnamon? If you can't see it, can you identify things like nutmeg or ginger, mulled wine, if you just have the aroma there? So it's a little game that our guests play in trying to guess those. Then they have our texture cubes, which are based on the research that if you're holding silky, soft kind of textures in hand, that can make things taste softer, smoother, richer, sweeter, versus if you're holding rough textures, like let's say, sandpaper or something like that brings out more of the acidity, astringency, bitterness, sourness in food. So they get to play around with those. And then they also get to place on some headphones and tell us if they can tell the difference between what hot and cold water sound like being poured. And interestingly enough, about 95% of people can tell exactly which is hot and which is cold. So we put our guest senses to the test with a few kind of sensory tests before they even get seated at the table. And then we do a few flavor tests with them at the table, see if they're super tasters or non-tasters, give them an idea on how important their sense of smell is. And then we take them into all the wonderful festivities of the dining experience.
It's really interesting because I feel like more and more these days when you sit down to have a meal, especially if you're at home, it's one of the things you don't really think about. If you're watching something, you're kind of paying attention. If you're listening to something, you're paying attention. But when you're eating something, you're maybe not paying enough attention. And it sounds like this is a way to sort of really, get people to really think about what they're eating rather than just sort of, we're here for a meal and we're going to talk. And, is that something that kind of resonates with you?
Yeah, well, this is feedback that I've heard from guests over 12 years of doing this, and we actually had some guests just a few days ago who were saying that unlike going to a restaurant, you become so much more mindful of your food experience and on dining, and rather than just taking a couple of bites, your starter, main course, or dessert, and trying your partner's dessert, this is in some ways a much more cerebral experience, much more what we call edutainment. So you kind of learn as you go as well. You discover things about your senses. You realize why maybe you go a bit heavier on salt than your partner does, or why you associate certain colors with certain flavors. Why is red sweet and green sour? Why do we have these kind of associations? Why are rounder shapes sweet and angular shapes sour? These are all kind of judgments and expectations that we make around food. And, whether these are learned or whether these are innate in some ways, I guess we don't really know the answer to that, but it's interesting to see that as human beings, we have these correlations. And when it comes to, things like Christmas, there are certain colors and aromas and textures that we associate with Christmas, red and green being obvious kind of Christmassy type colors, certain flavors. If you ask people to kind of talk about flavors around Christmas, you're definitely going to get things like cinnamon and nutmeg and turkey and gravy and all these kind of flavors. And they're quite, at least in the UK, quite universal. And that's what's interesting then when you go abroad and you see that there are completely different traditions and completely different foods that are consumed around that time of year. There's something about Christmas in the UK that we all have a certain kind of sensory association and expectation and nostalgia for.
So Christmas is often all about traditions and, like you say, nostalgia. But do you think people are looking for new ways to celebrate, like doing something like this, something a bit different, a bit more modern?
Well, yeah, I do. And I think that's why we are putting this on. And it's really for people who love all the festivities, but maybe don't want to go somewhere that's playing the same old kind of Christmas jingles with a very similar kind of set menu of festive kind of treats. I think this is much more of an alternative version. We do have a turkey main course with potato and some of the trimmings, so that is there. And the reason that that's there is when we were doing various different iterations of the menu and trialing it out, what we found was if you didn't have that kind of Christmas main course dish there, that people didn't really feel like they'd had a Christmassy experience. You had to have that in there. The menu features some really kind of delicious items like our milk ice cream with the gingerbread crumble being Santa's milk and cookies kind of course, and a few other delicious bites throughout.
I mean, it sounds amazing. If you were to give some tips to people who are doing Christmas dinner at home and want to do something a bit differently, who obviously are not going to be able to do something as intricate as this, what advice would you have to make it a bit more of like a sensory experience?
Yeah, real simple stuff. Get some scented candles that have that kind of Christmassy smell, the kind of apple and cinnamon type scented candles. Get those on the go. Curate your own playlist of Christmassy kind of music. Don't forget to throw in some interesting kind of soundscapes, maybe some wind or rain or stuff like that as kind of audio palette cleansers between songs. And it kind of means that when the music comes on, people's attention focuses a little bit more. So being a bit more curated with the audio and music that you've got. And you can do all this on, your basic kind of music streaming accounts or online. Get some visuals on the screen that are, I don't know, everyone's got these kind of wooden logs now, don't they? These digital fireplaces. There's something about that warms the space up. So, get some nice Christmassy. Don't just have the TV on in the background. Use it as a kind of more adding to the visuals and experience. So I'm sure there's lots of interesting kind of backdrops you can find out there online. And most importantly, have a bit of showmanship at the table, carving the turkey, flaming the Christmas pudding. A little bit of showmanship goes a long way. So just thinking about how you can, dress the table really beautifully, but also bring a bit of theatre to the whole experience. People love it. Yeah,
I can attest to just setting the Christmas pudding on fire at the table has been a great thing to do. I do that every year, and every year my dad thinks I'm going to blow the place up.
But it's fun and it's different, and you see it's that magic of Christmas and showmanship, and it's those little things that go a long way with people.
Yeah, and it sort of sets it apart from the rest of the year because you're not setting things on fire every day, so it makes it more special.
Well, that's it. Yeah, and that's all part of that magic, is doing things that you wouldn't normally do and just going that little bit further with it all.
So what's your feedback been so far from the people who've attended?
Very luckily, they've all, at least they've told me that they love it. Again, it really appeals to those who love the kind of Christmas festivities, but have been to a number of a bit kind of Christmas dinnered out at this point and want something that's a little bit more interesting, a little bit different. Have a partner or friend or a family member who's into science or into kind of geeky, Christmassy kind of things. So it's so far gone down a real treat.
You're based in London, aren't you? Would you ever kind of take them on tour?
We're in Holborn, yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? We've done events all over the world, so I'm sure at some point we'll get to do the Science of Christmas elsewhere, yeah.
Maybe in Glasgow?
Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, great place. Yeah, we've done a couple of events up there in the past, so why not?
Great. I'm only saying that because that's literally where I am right now and where I live, so it'd be great to try it out. What are your plans for next year? Is there anything that you can share with us about your business going forward?
As we continue to go into next year, our signature chef's table menu will be back up, and each quarter we change over. It's an 8-course tasting menu. Every quarter we change over a few of the dishes. Each of the courses is really based on the kind of work and research that we do into sensory psychology and understanding the science of how we relate to food, really, and how we enjoy it. And that's both from a sensory perspective and from a cultural perspective. And yeah, we try and distill that into fun, quirky, tasty, delicious courses.
Sounds good. Just to go back to Christmas for one last question, what do you enjoy most about Christmas, and are you going to be having a more traditional Christmas once you're finished up with your events?
Well, I'll be working the whole time, so I won't get to have a traditional Christmas, but I was talking about this, and I think I've got a kind of Christmas tradition that's not so, well, I was told it's very Victorian, but that's cooking a rib of beef around Christmas. So and the reason that I cook it then, because I was trying to dissect this because I was having a conversation about it, and it's because it takes so bloody long. It takes about, you brine it for 24 hours and then you cook it for 48 hours. And when else do I ever have the time to do that than around that kind of Christmas period? And I think that's a kind of key thing around Christmas, as well as time. People have more time to kind of, cook and create their their menu. So that's, again, why that showmanship element is you get to plan things out a little bit more. You got a bit more time to have fun with it.
Well, thank you very much. And for anyone that wants to know more about your company, how can they do so?
Find us online, Kitchen Theory. Kitchen-theory.com is our home. And yeah, you can find loads of stuff about us on there.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And I hope the rest of the season goes well and have a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too. Pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you. Thanks to my guests for being on this episode, and thanks to you too for listening. Please remember to rate, review and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Scran. Scran is co-produced and hosted by me, Rosalind Erskine, and co-produced, edited and mixed by Kelly Crichton. On behalf of us all here at Scran, we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We'll see you again in 2026.